Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll explore who Pinhead is. One of the most legendary monstrous or killer characters in the horror genre and the slasher subgenre. Considered one of the most mysterious, chilling, and powerful figures is Pinhead, also known as the leader of the Cenobites and the master of the lament configuration. This character is a type of ambiguous demon who serves a supreme entity known as Leviathan. This is why he says that the Cenobites are seen by many as angels and by others as demons. Pinhead is the leader of the Cenobites, and his appearance is quite iconic. He is portrayed as a very pale man with completely white skin, his entire face and head pierced by large nails or spikes. This gives him an impressive yet grotesque and highly menacing appearance. That's why, in this video, I will explain in detail the origin story of Pinhead before the events we see in the Hellraiser movies. Who he truly was when he was human, the meaning behind his physical appearance, what we know about his personality and behavior, and his incredible known abilities and weaknesses. Pinhead is the main antagonist of the film franchise known as Hellraiser. He is the leader of the Order of the Gash, which is essentially a type of religion whose members are the demonic torturers known as the Cenobites. Pinhead, along with the other Cenobites, can be summoned to Earth through the puzzle box known as the lament configuration. Beyond his iconic appearance, as a man with facial tattoos and nails embedded throughout his head, piercing his skull, Pinhead is widely recognized in the horror film genre as one of the most iconic slasher characters. This is because he is highly intelligent and articulate. He is the most famous Cenobite and the Leviathan's favorite servant, who rules the hellish dimension in the Hellraiser universe. Leviathan is presented as a massive diamond-shaped entity, and it is this creature or being that created all the Cenobites. It perceives the human dimension as chaotic and irritating, seeking to destroy it. For this reason, Leviathan chooses Pinhead as his herald and leader of the Cenobites, since he is his most loyal servant. Pinhead fully understands the laws of hell, as well as the motivations and intentions of Leviathan. Pinhead's origin story is very interesting, though it varies slightly depending on whether we refer to the original material or the films. Nevertheless, we can say his origin is quite unique. Pinhead was originally an Englishman named Elliot Spencer. He was a well-educated and eloquent person who served during World War I as a captain in the British Army. Captain Spencer's final defeat was at the Battle of Flanders. He is described as an intellectual British man who was originally very conservative. Unfortunately, Captain Spencer was deeply traumatized after the war, having witnessed horrific events. He suffered from post-traumatic stress and felt immense guilt, as he was one of the few soldiers who survived the deadly trench warfare. Eventually, all these events led him to lose faith in God and humanity, feeling that both had failed him. Captain Spencer became a broken man, turning into a nihilistic and deeply depressed individual. This is how he began traveling the world in search of absolute pleasure. This pursuit led him to commit many acts that were considered immoral and taboo at the time. And even today, many of those acts are still seen as taboo and an abomination by modern society. In 1921, Elliot Spencer traveled to British India, as England controlled part of India during those years. It was there that Spencer discovered the small puzzle box, known as the lament configuration. Elliot was deeply intrigued by this artifact and purchased it from its guardian. Elliot Spencer then dedicated many hours to solving the puzzle, and eventually he succeeded in unlocking the lament configuration. This caused chains and hooks to emerge, grabbing him and dragging him into Leviathan, known as the Labyrinth, which is essentially the version of hell in the Hellraiser universe. It was there that Elliot Spencer was transformed into the Cenobite known as Pinhead. In the following decades, he continued to obey all of Leviathan's commands. Upon becoming Pinhead, Elliot completely lost all memories of his past life as a human, and essentially became a very evil demon who feels no compassion for humans. As the High Priest of Hell, Pinhead's primary purpose and motivation is to punish those who solve the lament configuration, taking them to the labyrinth, where their souls will be tortured for all eternity. Pinhead's role and character have varied greatly throughout the Hellraiser franchise, with each film presenting him differently. In Clive Barker's original script, the legendary English horror author, he describes the Cenobites as demons. Even in his notes, he stated that this was what they represented. Interestingly, when Pinhead appears to Kirsty, he tells her that he is neither an angel nor a demon, but that he and the other Cenobites are explorers venturing into the furthest regions of experience, being demons to some and angels to others. In the first Hellraiser film, Pinhead initially appears as a shadowy figure who begins brutally torturing Frank Cotton in his attic after Frank unknowingly solved the puzzle box and summoned Pinhead. Unexpectedly, Frank manages to escape from the Cenobites. Eventually, Pinhead finds him when Frank's niece, Kirsty Cotton, accidentally summons Pinhead and the other Cenobites by solving the lament configuration. They make a deal with her. If she hands over her uncle, they will spare her. After the Cenobites take Frank, Pinhead does not honor his promise to Kirsty and takes pleasure when the Cenobites attack her. Fortunately, Kirsty manages to send all the Cenobites back to hell and survives the encounter. In the second film, it is implied that the Cenobites are demons, as they're responsible for abducting people and taking them to a dimension presented as a vast labyrinth ruled by Leviathan, a kind of hell where they physically and psychologically torture their victims. In the third film, Pinhead's original concept is completely altered, portraying him as a purely evil demon whose sole purpose is to spread chaos and destruction. It is explained that he behaves this way because Pinhead completely lost his human essence in the previous film. In the fourth film, Pinhead is depicted as a being obsessed with his own power, whose goal is to dominate the physical world and the reality where humans reside. In the fifth and sixth films, Pinhead acts as a judge who punishes those who summon him for their sins, forcing these individuals to confront their personal demons. In the fifth movie, he calls himself the Engineer, a nickname given to him because the film's writers were inspired by the original name of the Cenobite leader in Clive Barker's novel. In the seventh film, Pinhead and the Cenobites return to their primary role, essentially being responsible for administering both pleasure and pain. However, in this installment, these characters are even more evil and demonic than in the previous movies. Now that we've thoroughly explored Pinhead's entire story and his origins, I will discuss his physical appearance, what we know about his personality and behavior, and explain his incredible known abilities and weaknesses. Pinhead has a unique, iconic physical appearance that is highly recognized by horror movie fans. Instead of appearing as a muscular and strong man, Pinhead is portrayed as a slender man with an average build, retaining the physique he had when he was a human soldier. Although he is not a giant, Pinhead is very tall, towering over the other Cenobites and most of his human victims. As a Cenobite, his form has undergone a complete cosmetic transformation, losing almost all qualities of a living being or mammal. Pinhead has no hair on his head, no facial hair, and no body hair. His skin is extremely pale, almost completely white, with bluish undertones on his face. It's believed that he looks this way because there is no blood circulating through his veins, making him a kind of undead creature. In the novel, it is mentioned that his appearance is due to being covered in infernal white ashes. He has large scars on his chest with flesh hanging from that area. His name comes from the intricate piercings on his head. His face is covered in lines, depicted as wounds in the films and tattoos in the novel. At every intersection of these vertical and horizontal lines, large nails are embedded in his face. In the novel, Pinhead's tongue has a similar appearance to his face, whereas in the films, he has a normal tongue. Pinhead is a cold, calculating, and ruthless being. Clive Barker conceived him as a character with a deranged intellect, fully aware of his actions and knowing they were wicked, yet carrying them out without hesitation or reflection. During the first film, Pinhead kindly tells Kirsty to stop crying because she is wasting her emotions at the wrong moment, implying that far worse things await her when he takes her to hell. As the High Priest of the Cenobites, Pinhead is extremely loyal to the Order of the Gash. Although he was initially portrayed as a standard character, he eventually became a relentless killer, becoming the main villain of the franchise. He is also very deceitful and often breaks the deals he makes with humans. Surprisingly, in the second film, when the disturbed young girl Tiffany summons him, Pinhead spares her and orders the Cenobites not to kill her because she was tricked into solving the puzzle box by Dr. Channard and had no real desire to summon them. Something very curious, as I mentioned earlier, is that in the third film, Pinhead has completely lost his human side, which is why he mercilessly kills anyone who crosses his path. Pinhead is an incredibly powerful being with some astonishing supernatural abilities. First of all, being a type of demon, he is immortal and cannot die in any way. He can attack his victims with hooks and chains that he summons, trapping people as the hooks embed into their bodies, and he controls them with his mind. He can also teleport at will, appearing in different places whenever he desires. He possesses abilities that allow him to alter reality, as he can make objects appear out of nowhere to brutally kill his victims. Additionally, he can deceive his victims with illusions and mild mind control, making them see things that don't actually exist. His most terrifying and significant ability is that he can create new Cenobites using some of his chosen victims. Pinhead's only weakness is that the lament configuration can be used to send him back to hell. Although this doesn't kill him, it does limit and trap him in that dimension until someone else summons him again. Pinhead doesn't take pleasure in killing people. He prefers to torture them and make them suffer for all eternity. When Clive Barker designed Pinhead, he intentionally made him a very intelligent character, fundamentally different from Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Leatherface. Barker mentioned that he disliked those classic slasher movie characters from the 1980s. According to him, although they were initially terrifying beings, with the sequels, they became silly characters who stopped being scary. Clive Barker stated that he was inspired by Christopher Lee's portrayal of Count Dracula to shape Pinhead's attitude and personality. He also mentioned that the most terrifying thing about this character is his intelligence. Not only is he extremely powerful, but he also thinks clearly, and his twisted mind is what makes him so frightening, much like the characters of Dracula or Hannibal Lecter. Barker explained that these characters always seem to be 3 steps ahead of the protagonists, and that concept always fascinated him. Another interesting fact is that the Pinhead who appears in the novel The Hellbound Heart was not the leader of the Cenobites, but more of a subordinate. Additionally, the Pinhead in the novel was neither male nor female, as they had no specific gender. The book mentions that Pinhead had a feminine voice, but a more masculine appearance. In the original drafts of the script for Freddy vs. Jason, Pinhead was supposed to appear at the end of the movie, opening the door for a sequel where these 3 horror icons would fight together. Unfortunately, the rights to the character could not be secured, so that post-credit scene was canceled. Pinhead was portrayed by the legendary horror actor Doug Bradley, except in the last 2 films, as the actor did not approve of the scripts and chose not to participate in those projects. Interestingly, Pinhead was not originally intended to be the main antagonist of the franchise, but over time, he became the icon of Hellraiser due to the overwhelming support from fans. The name Pinhead was popularized by fans. However, Clive Barker disliked that name. In the novels, he is referred to as the High Priest of Hell, or the leader of the Cenobites. And well, this is everything we know about Pinhead, his origins, and his role in the Hellraiser franchise. Honestly, I believe Pinhead is one of the most terrifying characters in horror cinema due to his twisted intelligence and vast supernatural abilities. In my opinion, the scariest thing about Pinhead, besides his physical appearance, is the way he brutally attacks and kills his victims. I love that he is an eloquent character, somewhat similar to Candyman, another character created by Clive Barker. Overall, I think Pinhead is one of the most memorable and terrifying characters in horror films, not only because of his physical appearance, but also because of his behavior. But let me know your opinion in the comments below. Were you already familiar with Pinhead? Did you know his origins? And finally, do you think Pinhead is the most powerful character in the slasher genre, or do you think that title belongs to someone else like Michael Myers? Share your answers to these questions and your overall thoughts about Pinhead and the Hellraiser franchise in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, share it to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of my new videos.